Welcome everyone. In this video, we will analyze if XCN coin has broken the trend. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and please watch to the end to understand. The downtrend line, which I have explained and shown you in detail in previous videos, has finally broken as of today. This breakout is very important because this downtrend, which has been putting a lot of pressure on price action for a while, may now be signaling a turnaround. When we analyzed it on the chart, we observed that the price had been respecting this trend line for a long time, rejecting it at every touch and making new lows every time. Today, however, this structure broke down and the price made a very critical move above the line. Such breakouts attract the attention of both short-term and long-term investors in the market and often lead to new buyers entering the market. The most important detail that we should pay attention to now is the possibility of a retest after this breakout. A retest is when the price makes a retracement back towards the falling trend line it broke and finds support in this area. If the price manages to stay above the trend line during this retest, and there are strong buying reactions, this will be a very clear confirmation that the breakout is valid. Otherwise, if the price dips below this trend line again, there is a possibility that the breakout is a fake out and weakness may reappear. Therefore, the retest after the breakout will perhaps be one of the most decisive factors in terms of short-term direction. In addition, the volume side should be closely monitored at the moment. Volume data is one of the most fundamental ways to understand whether a breakout is a real breakout or not. If there is a significant increase in volume when breaking a trend line, this indicates that the breakout is healthy and strong. However, if volume remains low, the reliability of the breakout can be questioned. In today's price action, we observe a partial increase in volume, suggesting that there is a certain mass of buyers behind the breakout. If there is a further increase in volume in the coming days, this will further strengthen the chances of the price continuing upwards. When all these technical signals come together, we can see that the price is now trying to break out of its long-lasting pressure environment, and buyers are slowly gaining strength. However, the market is still full of surprises, so you should always use stop losses, pay attention to risk management, and be prepared for sudden movements. Especially during the retest, it will be very important that the price does not fall below the support line. Otherwise, this breakout may remain a temporary move. Summarizing all these data, we can say that a significant change in market dynamics is taking place with the break of the downtrend. The most logical thing to do now would be to patiently wait for the price to complete the retest and then set a trading strategy based on the confirmation signals. If everything goes as expected, it is quite possible that this breakout could be the beginning of a new uptrend that could lead to higher price targets in the medium to long term. But we need to look not only at trends but also at other metrics. Stay tuned. When we examine the chart from a distance, taking a slightly broader perspective, we can actually notice that a rather remarkable structure has formed. Especially when we analyze the price action in the big picture, we can clearly see that a descending wedge pattern has formed here. Such patterns usually have a very positive meaning in technical analysis. A falling wedge pattern indicates that the price is moving in a narrowing range over time, with lows and highs forming at lower and lower levels. But at the same time, the selling pressure is gradually weakening. This means that even though the price is moving lower, sellers are no longer able to put as much pressure on the market as before, and buyers are gradually preparing to take control. The most important feature of this pattern is that it usually breaks to the upside. This is because although it forms in a bearish trend, the underlying momentum shifts to the buyers over time, and eventually the price breaks through the upper line of this structure and starts a sharp upward move. Right now, we see exactly this scenario unfolding on the chart. The price has reached the upper band of the descending wedge pattern that it has been stuck in for a long time, struggled here for a while, and then broke out upwards on strong volume. The realization of this breakout is a very important technical development, because this is a very clear indication that the balance in the market has started to shift from sellers to buyers. In addition, the fact that the breakout was realized in volume suggests that this move is a solid and reliable breakout. If the price manages to stay above the pattern after this breakout and maintains its upward structures, this could pave the way for much higher targets. Also, in descending wedge patterns, the post-breakout price usually has the potential to make a rise up to the area where the wedge structure begins. At the moment, this target seems quite distant, but as long as market conditions and momentum are favorable, there is a possibility that the price will move towards this target step by step. Of course, this process will not be in a straight line. There may be small pullbacks, consolidations, and corrections in between. But in the big picture, the direction seems to have turned upwards. In short, there was a clear descending wedge pattern in the big picture on the chart, and it broke to the upside as described in the classic textbooks of technical analysis. This breakout could herald a possible trend reversal in the market. Of course, as always, it is important to carefully monitor the retest and whether the price stays above the pattern, because sometimes the market can set traps in the short term and mislead investors. However, the signals so far are quite positive and promising. Therefore, from a technical point of view, we can say that the price action may have entered a process where it can target higher levels in the medium and long term, even if it corrects in the short term. Nevertheless, it will always be important to keep risk management in mind and closely monitor developments. If the price maintains this upside breakout and is supported by a strong increase in volume, it may become much easier to reach the technical targets of the descending wedge pattern. The pattern target often indicates a journey to the highs at the beginning of the wedge. As I always say, patience is required. When we take a closer look at the RSI indicator, we can observe that there is a very remarkable structure here. Especially recently, there has been a clear rising trend line on the RSI. This trend line shows that the RSI's lows are forming at higher levels over time, which is a very important sign that the balance of power in the market is gradually shifting in favor of buyers. When the RSI makes upside lows like this, it tells us that the underlying momentum of the price is strengthening and foreshadows a potential continuation move. Currently, the RSI chart is experiencing a pullback towards this rising support trend line. This is a normal process because the market never moves in a straight line. It takes breaks and corrections in between. If the RSI touches and reacts upwards to this rising trend line, it would be a sign that momentum is being maintained and a strong signal that a new bullish wave in price action could begin. There is one more important detail to note here. Price action had recently broken a downtrend upwards. The current pullback could also be a process of retesting above this broken falling trend line. That is, the price may be coming back to test the old resistance as support. If this retest is successful and the price starts its upward movement again, this would be a textbook scenario in terms of technical analysis. Because when a trend line is broken, it is usually retested, and if it works as support in this test, the uptrend is expected to continue in a much healthier and stronger way. This is why maintaining the uptrend on the RSI is extra important. Because if the RSI bounces off the trend line, it will confirm that there is both psychological and technical support in the price. This shows that the momentum is ready for the price to start a new bullish wave. Especially the level of the RSI is a very critical point at the moment. If there is no downside breakout and the RSI bounces off the support trend and heads upwards, this could pave the way for a sharp upward rebound in the price. Otherwise, we could see some more downward corrections if the RSI trendline breaks, but the current structure seems to be dominated by positive signals. However, it's also worth considering the overall market conditions and trading volumes, because although the RSI gives a strong technical signal, the general behavior of major players and volume movements also play a decisive role in the course of the price. For the time being, especially if there is no weakening on the volume side, a new upward movement seems quite possible after this support theme in the RSI. Yes, friends, I hope you liked the video. If you subscribe to my channel and like the video, more videos will be coming. Be careful in your investments, analyze the risks correctly, and always take strategic steps. I will be with you with different analyses, investment opportunities, and technical information in my videos. I wish you all a lot of profit. See you soon.